Welcome to the Preamble, Branches of the Government, and the Bill of Rights, a study guide. The Preamble is the introduction to the Constitution. It begins with the phrase, "We the people," written larger than all the rest of the words in the document. This means that the government is based on the consent of the governed, or the idea of popular sovereignty. In other words, that the government gets its power from the people. The preamble itself lists the 6 goals of our Constitution, or basically the purpose for our Constitution, what we hope to accomplish as a government with this document. First, to form a more perfect union. This was to improve on the Articles of Confederation. Establish justice, since there was no court system under the Articles. Ensure domestic tranquility. Try to keep peace. Provide for the common defense. And promote the general welfare. Make sure that everyone had the opportunity of life, liberty, and property. Finally, to secure the blessings of liberty, or freedom, to ourselves and all future generations. Article 1 of the Constitution discusses the legislative branch, also known as Congress. It's made up of 2 houses. The upper house is the Senate, and the lower house is the House of Representatives. The enumerated powers of Congress are listed in Article 1, Section 8. Congress has some of the following powers: to make laws, lay and collect taxes, borrow money, pay debts and provide for the common defense, coin money and regulate its value, establish post offices, raise and support armies, provide and maintain a navy, regulate commerce, establish uniform naturalization laws, impeach and remove the president and other high officials, and declare war. A common misconception is that the president has the power to declare war, but he does not. Only Congress can declare war. The House of Representatives is based on population. The states with the larger populations get the most representatives or votes in the House of Representatives. To be elected a representative, they must be at least 25 years old, have been the citizen for at least 7 years, and live in the state and district they're representing. If elected, they're elected to a 2-year term of office. A term is how long they will hold that office. Currently, we have 435 members in the House of Representatives. There is 1 representative for every 650,000 people living in the United States. Currently, Dennis Cardoza is the series representative to the House of Representatives. The Senate, or the upper house, is the other part of Congress. The Senate is based on equality. Every state, no matter how large or small the population, gets only 2 senators. Since we have 50 states, that means there's a total of 100 senators in Congress. Requirements for senators to be elected is they must be at least 30 years old, have been a citizen for at least 9 years, and live in the state they're representing. Senators are elected to a 6-year term. The one exception was the very first election where senators were elected for a 2-year term, a 4-year term, or a 6-year term. That assured that 1/3 of the Senate comes up for re-election every 2 years. Currently, California senators are Dianne Feinstein and Barbara Boxer. Article 2 of the Constitution discusses the executive branch, also known as the President. The enumerated powers of the President are listed throughout Article 2. He takes care that the laws be faithfully executed, in other words, enforces the laws, recommends legislation to Congress, Commander-in-Chief of all the armed forces, grants reprieves and pardons to federal criminals, makes treaties with other countries, nominates and appoints ambassadors and Supreme Court justices, gives Congress information on the state of the Union or tells how our country's doing, and receives ambassadors and other public ministers. The President is elected to a 4-year term. He can only serve 2 terms, or a total of 8 years. The President must be a citizen by birth. He cannot be a naturalized citizen. He must have been born an American citizen. He must be at least 35 years old, have lived in the United States at least 14 years. And today our current president is Barack Obama. The vice president is Joe Biden. The vice president is there to support the president. And if for any reason the president is killed, incapacitated, or unable to do his job, or removed from office, the vice president becomes the president. Article 3 of the Constitution discusses the judicial branch, also known as the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the head of the federal court system. Supreme Court justices are nominated by the President and approved by the Senate. There are currently 9 Supreme Court justices, and they are appointed for life or until they choose to retire. We currently have our largest number of women and minorities on the Supreme Court. The powers of the Supreme Court are the power in all cases in law and equity. They decide controversies between a state and its citizens and foreign states, citizens, or subjects. They decide cases that affect ambassadors. They decide any controversies between different states. And they decide controversies to which the United States shall be a part. The framers of the Constitution had seen their world change drastically, and they realized that change would continue. So to address this, the framers included a process to amend or change the Constitution over time. The first 10 amendments are called the Bill of Rights. They were added as an agreement between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists in order to get the Constitution ratified or approved. The First Amendment guarantees freedom of religion, assembly, press, petition, and speech. Amendment 2 protects our right to bear arms or carry weapons. The Third Amendment, no quartering of soldiers. You cannot be forced to allow soldiers to live in your home. Amendment 4, no unreasonable search or seizure. Amendment 5, you have the right to remain silent if you're arrested. You have the right to have an attorney. You do not have to testify against yourself in court. And there is no double jeopardy. You cannot be tried for the same crime twice. Amendment 6, you have the right to a speedy trial. You cannot be thrown in jail and 20 years go by and you've never been to court. Amendment 7, you have the right to a civil trial by a jury of your peers. Amendment 8, there is no cruel or unusual punishment and no excessive bails or fines can be levied against you. The Ninth Amendment guarantees that any rights that are not given to the state or the federal government belong to the people. And the 10th Amendment guarantees that any rights that are not specifically given to the federal government or the people belong to the states. Since the original first 10 amendments, there have only been 17 additional amendments added to the Constitution for a total of 27 amendments. In over 200 years, few changes have been made to our original Constitution. And now you have some information about the Preamble, the branches of the government, and the Bill of Rights.